Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is another glorious day here. It is a Sunday. It is a blessed day. We have a lot of things to talk about in the news. Let me go ahead and get the Don't Fear the Reaper, the Blue Oyster Cult here. So let's go ahead and get it cut. And we will go ahead and sound off on what we have in store for today for your source, me, Charles Nash, your host, here with another episode of Political Theater. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to go ahead. The first thing that's going on right now as we speak, Hurricane Ida has hit land in Louisiana and New Orleans. And it's a Category 4 hurricane. They're saying up to 140 mile an hour winds or more, and that this is going to make Hurricane Katrina look like, look pathetic, apparently. They're saying this is supposed to be the worst storm since 1850 that we could be seeing within the next 24 to 48 hours as it makes its way in off the coast into U.S. territory. So if you are in New Orleans, and I know the storm is hitting there right now, I'm watching the updates on it. Please seek shelter immediately. Take cover. If you're able to leave, get out of the state. But please, everyone, please do not wait. Do not let it become an emergency issue where you're wishing you would have left and you didn't. Things can be replaced, folks. Don't stay just because you think you're going to be able to weather it out or hold on to possessions that can be replaced. If it's something that's really, a family heirloom or a memorabilia, and you can take it with you and pack it, please take it and leave and go seek shelter immediately, please. They're saying the storm is not anything to mess with. And from what I'm seeing, it's a bad one. Now, the governor there is saying that the levees are going to hold. But again, this storm is just making landfall today. So again, if you're in that area, if you're in the path of the storm, please take shelter immediately or get to a safe location. Do not wait this out, please. So, as we have devastation coming in off the Hurricane Ida here, folks, Joe Biden and his administration, they're not catching a break. Not only do we have the fumble with Afghanistan that's evolving, not only do we have the problem with the economy, the jobs reports, skyrocketing inflation. We have people that can't make any money. If you're a landlord, you're hurting something bad. Although there is good news with that. The Supreme Court did side against Joe Biden and his administration and all those liberals screaming about, well, we want to go ahead and, let the CDC have power, even though they really don't have any power or say so in this issue. But we feel that landlords should not be able to get rent off people that, are suffering still from the pandemic, or they just don't want to pay rent. We think it should be up to the landlords to just eat the cost, don't get paid rent, and if you lose everything, well, too bad. Well, guess what, folks? The Supreme Court came through and said, no, we're going to side with the landlords. Tenants have to pay rent. We're not giving people time anymore with this whole COVID nonsense. And that is one ruling that the Supreme Court has went ahead and issued that has really kind of crippled the Biden administration that I really do applaud. So the Supreme Court, they got it right this time. Some other things that's been going on under the Biden administration that we're seeing is just the sheer amount of news outlets, the sheer amount of Republicans, Democrats, independents, you name it, people coming in off the street, basically coming at this administration and saying, look, you did wrong. You did wrong real bad. You went with the stupidest option when it comes to Afghanistan and what we should have done and what we should have not done. And he's catching a lot of heat over it, folks. I want to go ahead and read this. This is in the Politics Police a piece here. It was posted about an hour ago. This was on Politico. It was also on Fox News. I'm going to go ahead and read the Fox News headline. It says, overwhelming support for keeping U.S. troops in Afghanistan until all Americans, Afghan allies, are out, the poll shows. It says Democrats, Republicans, Independents want U.S. troops to stay until evacuation of Americans, Afghanistans, who aided U.S. is out of Afghanistan. A new national poll indicates that most Americans want U.S. troops to remain at the airport in Afghanistan's capital city of Kabul until all Americans are out safely from Afghanistan. During the 20-year conflict in this war-torn Central Asian country, says the poll, it says more than 8 in 10, which is 84% of Americans, say the U.S. troops should remain in the country until all Americans and its allies are evacuated. Reading an update on that, it says the U.S. has airlifted some 1,400 people, including 5,500 Americans, since the repulsive Taliban forces swept into the country and captured the capital of Kabul just 2 weeks ago. The State Department this weekend said that there were still 350 Americans attempting to leave Afghanistan. There was none of the typical partisan division in the survey, with 87% of Republicans and 86% of Democrats and independents saying U.S. troops should remain until all Americans and its allies are evacuated. So that's just one poll that's out. There is another poll that's out. It says the president has been heavily criticized by Republicans and some Democrats for the handling of the Afghanistan evacuation. And a new poll indicates that less than 4 in 10 Americans approve of how Biden's handling of this situation in Afghanistan. Continuing on with this poll, it says 530 adults nationwide in a survey that was conducted by ABC News Polls, which they said their sampling errors of minus 4.9%, also agreed that Joe Biden, according to this, should be removed. So, I mean, there you go, folks. I mean, that's the poll right there. That's one from Fox. That's one from ABC right there. So, as you can see, the President Biden and his administration aren't they are really not catching any relief here from what's going on. So yeah, the Biden administration, I'm telling you, folks, not looking good. So, next thing, this has been on multiple outlets, multiple channels, folks. I mean, we've been seeing it, hearing it since it's happened, as it's been, unfolding. But today, about 3 hours ago, we had 11 of the 13 soldiers that was killed in Afghanistan. Their bodies did make it back to U.S. soil today, with the flags draped over them, the American flags. Really sad day. Of course, the president was there. Why he was there after the fumbling of what he's done, and I know I'm going to catch hell because of this, but look, to me, what was done and the way this administration has handled this whole debacle and the lies that have been coming out, and they're lies. Let's just get this straight here. They're lies, folks. I told everyone a week and a half ago on this broadcast, what did I say? I said everybody going to that airport was going to be a mass target. It's not just because it was common sense. Again, I'm a military vet. I was overseas in Iraq when this stuff was going on. Look, Al-Qaeda, the Taliban, ISIS-K, ISIS, ISIS-X, whatever you want to call these people, they're terrorists, folks. They're Muslim extremists. Let's just call it what it is. And I know I'm going to hear from people, you're a homophobe, Mr. Dash. No, I'm calling it what it is. They're terrorists. They're Muslim terrorists. Downplaying what they are and saying that it's a different word doesn't change what they are, folks. They're terrorists. They're Muslim terrorists. And I told everybody a week and a half ago in this podcast here, I said sending all those people to the airport was going to be a mass target. And what happened? Look what we had. The fact of the matter is, it was poor planning. And I know what people are saying. Well, President Biden was, warned about this from his security detail and top brass. Yeah, he was. But what did he do? What did he do, folks? He disregarded what all the top officials, all the security agents, all of levels of security, all of his intel committees, he bypassed all of it. And what did he do? He bullied through and said, well, no, I want everybody out of there. We're going to go with Plan Stupid. And that's what happened. He picked the worst policy ever and ran with it. And any draw out that we've had in U.S. history, we've always done one thing. When you shut down areas of a country that you're in, and if you're going to pull out, you pull out by sectors. What I mean is you take the whole country, kind of like what we did in Iraq. We were the last group of the 1174th ADA out of Marysville, Ohio. We were one of the last groups in Iraq. Our job was basically shutting the door and turning the lights off, so to speak. We went to every base, and slowly but surely, as the order came down, we would shut one base down, move all the assets to the next base. Shut that base down. Move all of the assets and shift them. Shift them inward to be exported out to sea, to be taken back home. For a year, I was in Iraq, and that's how we operated. When you shut one base down, we took all the assets with us. We took all the personnel. We made sure there was security as we pulled back. And folks, we got bombed every day. This is not like we it was an easy pull out of Iraq. It wasn't. We got bombed every day. I was sense and warned for CRAM. So when I say I know what I'm talking about when it comes to security measures, I know what I'm talking about when it comes to military security measures. That was my job for a year overseas. Sounding alarms, protecting a people, making sure our radars were up, making sure as we pulled out from one area to the next, slowly moving backwards until everything was closed and we shut the lights off to the final base We got on the plane as a group, and we said goodbye to Iraq. That's how a proper pullout or evacuation is supposed to happen. Not this, well, let's just go ahead and hand everything over. Everyone has to be out by August 31st. We're going to leave all of our weaponry there, billions of dollars worth of top gear. They didn't destroy anything. They didn't backlog anything to take it with them. They didn't pack it. They didn't have a plan. I mean, for crying out loud. Even when we were in Iraq, folks, when we moved back to the final spot, the final base, the final area, the green zone, as you call it, we had security measures in place to make sure that even the last of us turning off the lights had a safe transition out of there. Not just everyone go back, up, we're under attack, throw up your hands, we might be able to get you out. No, you can't do that. And to sit there and have your intelligence officers and your intelligence community say to you, look, this is what's going to happen if we pull back the blanket like this and just rip it off the bed real fast. And you just completely disregard it. You have no business being the commander-in-chief. No business being the free leader of the world. When you take lives of our armed servicemen and women and you just completely disregard them, you, sir, should not be in office. Your administration should all be resigned and be taken out. You should be taken out the front door, given your pink papers, and say, you're done. And I know what people's going to say. Well, man, if we take out Joe Biden and have him resign or impeach him, we're going to be stuck with giggles. Kamala Harris. Folks, I know it. I know this. The scenario to take Joe Biden out of the picture and replace him with someone who's even denser, I get it. I get it. Hell, I seen a picture up here the other day. Someone had taken the picture of the DC Joker and replaced it with Kamala Harris's face. And it says, Gotham has a new villain in town. Giggles. It was hilarious, but it's the truth. We'd have another clown in office, and she isn't going to do anything any different than Sleepy Joe is doing. Which, talking about Sleepy Joe, did anyone see today or hear today what happened in the new Israeli Prime Minister meeting? Joe Biden was asleep. He was asleep, folks. He was caught. They filmed this. He was asleep in the meeting, and the new Israeli Prime Minister shot a look over at Joe Biden while he was asleep. Must have been Joe's bedtime. Joe's not getting enough sleep. Not getting enough sleep there, Sleepy Joe? Yeah, I can tell you're not getting enough sleep any day of the week. Oh. Getting back to what I was saying, though. So 11 of the 13 service members that was killed in the Afghan suicide attack here a couple days ago, they are back on U.S. soil. I'm just going to go ahead and break podcast here. Like I said, I'm a veteran. Folks, I had to go on detail when I came back. I know what it is to go to a loved one's door and have to tell that family member or that spouse or their children that their mother and father or their mom and dad or their brothers and sister are not coming home. Or at least the way that they want them to come home. For the family members of those 13 heroes that were tragically killed and should be home with their families right now and enjoying their lives to the fullest. I really do mean this from the bottom of my heart. I send you condolences. I send all the family of this tragedy. I send my thoughts and prayers to all the family members. I really do, sincerely. And I want to go ahead and even go one step further. Please, if you need anything, I know I'm a complete stranger. Please reach out. Reach out to me. Reach out to organizations that are for, veterans, servicemen and women who have lost their lives. Please reach out if you need help. There are people out there who are willing to support you, like myself, and help you in any way as possible. So again, to all of those families who their loved ones were tragically taken from them, my deepest sympathies and really, I am so sorry. This country owes those individuals an everlasting gratitude for serving and being the heroes that they were and all that they faced. And I know what I'm saying doesn't make the pain go away, but I really do. I really do want to send my sympathies to those families. Getting back to what we said, it says the president and the first lady, Jill Biden, were both greeted by Colonel William C. McDonald of the 89th Airlift Wing. It says the 8 Marines, 1 Army soldier, and a Navy corpsman died in the suicide bombing. Their bodies were brung back, like I said today. It's just really sad that these servicemen and women lost their lives. And I guess the question is, for what? I know people's going to say, well, Mr. Nash, it was freedom. They were doing their job. I get it. But it was a piss poor decision by that president and us administration. An administration that, to me, couldn't run a hot dog stand. And it's just sad and it's tragic. And I want to go ahead and just say this. I know people is going to really get mad at this, but Joe Biden, you do have blood on your hands. You are 100%, you and your administration, everyone involved with this that touched this, you are 110% responsible for what happened. Because of the incompetence, and the arrogance that you have tried to shove down the American people's throat and every service member's throat. Shame on you. Then we have the greatest piece that I think I've seen in the last 48 hours. And it's a joke. Did anyone catch NBC News blaming Donald Trump, the former president of the United States, Donald Trump, for the ISIS-K attack in Afghanistan that took the lives of those servicemen and women? Did anyone catch this? It's laughable. I want to read this. It said NBC News blamed former President Donald Trump for the ISIS-K attack in Afghanistan Thursday that took the lives of 13 U.S. service members, injured 20 more, and killed more Afghanistan citizens. An article written by NBC military writer Sebastian Roblin said it may be easy to blame President Biden for the attack, but the architecture of the withdrawal of the U.S. troops from the region was built by President Trump. It says the rushed evacuation and the vulnerability to Thursday's deplorable attack was an inevitable outcome of a rapid collapse of the Afghan government. I will read on. But while Biden does indeed hold his share of responsibility for that collapse, he was inaccurate. It wasn't his inaccuracy when he pointed out to the news conference Thursday that the architecture of this hasty U.S. withdrawal was inevitable deadly chaos was followed by the constructed of the previous commander-in-chief. They're referring to Donald Trump. Biden has reportedly blamed Trump for the chaos unfolding in Afghanistan, most recently in a press conference on Thursday. Quote, "You know as well as I do that the former president made a deal with the Taliban to get all American forces out of Afghanistan by May 1st, he said. Roblin argued that Biden holds his share of responsibility for the collapse, but this agreement was made under Trump, and he was the catalyst for the situation in Afghanistan. However, Roblin also did admit Biden remains responsible for following through the Trump administration's policy, but claimed that the revising the agreement would have been costly and risked the Taliban resuming attacks on U.S. forces." So there you have it. It's all Donald Trump's fault again. This comes from the same administration who has lied so many times, and they really honestly expect us to believe that horse crap. Remember last week, and just a couple of days ago, remember Jen Psaki, White House press secretary? What did she say? "We have no American citizens in Afghanistan. We don't have anyone stranded. How dare you use those words of people being stranded?" Remember, I played the audio of her saying that. Remember? Does anybody else remember this? I do. I remember it perfectly fine. She's also the one who claimed, we're not going to have any U.S. casualties. We're not going to have any explosions. This is going to be a smooth transition. And then 2 weeks prior to that, what do we have? I played the audio of Joe Biden. We're not going to have disasters. We're not going to have deaths on my hand. ISIS is going to behave. Matter of fact, they're going to be running security to get us out of there by August the 31st. And then they have the audacity to say, well, this is all Donald Trump's fault. Because Donald Trump made a plan, ran with a plan. He's not the one who executed the plan, but we went ahead and we tweaked some things. But, even though it's under our handling, it was his plan. So therefore, it's his fault. Folks, that's not how this works. That's not how life works at all. He is the commander-in-chief right now. He's in charge. Them saying, well, we went with Donald Trump's plan. I don't care whose plan it was. You are the commander-in-chief. You're exercising all the security protocols. You're exercising all the commands. You're pulling the strings. Or at least the person behind the green curtain that's got Joe Biden puppet-like is calling the plan. The fact is, blaming Donald Trump, this is a consistency that you hear from the Biden administration. It's Donald Trump's fault. The economy goes rise. It's Donald Trump's fault. Joe Biden falls down the stairs. Donald Trump designed this plan on Air Force One. It's never accountability for themselves. It's always somebody else. Good example. Here's another one. COVID numbers are up. It's Donald Trump's fault. Really? Because Donald Trump came up with the vaccine that you're toting. Yet it's Donald Trump's fault. Because of COVID. You're playing with the enemy, with China, who let's just come out and just say it. They created this virus, folks, and unleashed it on the world. And you've got Joe Biden going, it's Donald Trump's fault. Yeah, I make money on the side, millions and dollars, me and my son Hunter, with China. But they're okay. I mean, I know they're trying to kill us, but they're okay. It's Donald Trump's fault. Does anyone see the same thing that I see with the Democrats and Joe Biden's administration and Joe Biden himself? Isn't it funny how every time, let's just go ahead and say it, they screw up something on their watch, they blame one of two people. This has gone on for 30 years. First, it's those Republicans. Those Republicans are doing it. Then it went from a Republican Party to, it's those darn conservatives. Those conservatives are killing us. They're the ones who made this happen. Now it's the last 5 years, it's Donald Trump. That darn Donald Trump, orange man bad, has caused all of this. Man's not even in office, folks. And apparently he's still raising Cain here in the U.S. Donald Trump is not even in power. He's not even in the spotlight, for crying out loud. He's calling no shots. And still this administration goes, it's Donald Trump. Donald Trump has nothing to do with any of this. The Afghanistan blunder is on you, Mr. President, and your administration. You screwed up, and you screwed up big. And now the family members of these fallen heroes from your blunder. Oh, yes, it's out today, folks. There are service members, family members coming out and saying, you're responsible, Mr. Biden. You're responsible. There was a woman here the other day. My son's never coming home. I'm never going to see him again. And who are they looking at? Joe Biden. They're looking at the top brass. There are stories that are coming out from top brass who made calls over there, judgment calls, and decisions from the Joe Biden administration. And you're going to hear them in the next week or two. It's going to come out. Accountability is going to come out, folks. There are stories that's going to hit. And when they hit, God help the people that's on the receiving end who's involved with what had happened over there. Because heads are going to roll. I'm telling you now, be prepared. Be prepared. The next piece of business, continuing on with what I was just talking about. This one is from Politico. Top of the headline reads, U.S. airstrikes hit suicide bomber as officials warn of exceedingly dangerous moments in Afghanistan. Now, this article has to do with the Pentagon confirming Sunday that the U.S. military conducted a drone strike in Kabul, successfully destroying an imminent threat to the airport in the Afghan capital where U.S. American troops are conducting massive evacuation efforts. Now, they're saying that this was carried out the same day that President Joe Biden took part in the dignified transfer of service members that was killed on Thursday by that suicide bomber. And in this report, it also goes on to say that we also killed or took out one or a couple of targets that was also responsible for the planning of that said attack that took place here last week. Folks, for starters, I'm not going to sit here and say that there's truth to it or it's all false lies. The fact of the matter is, the poor planning already took place. We already have U.S. personnel that are dead. We have Afghan allies that are dead. The suicide bombing already took place. So you took out some more targets. Where the hell was everybody at last week? And under the Biden administration and his top brass again. Why weren't you doing these exercises, these military strikes and movements to protect our personnel and our civilians and our allies a week ago, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago? So what? It took 13 of our service members to be killed before you finally got your acts together, and I'm just going to go ahead and say it, pulled your heads out of your asses? Well, congratulations. A little bit too late. Little bit too late. And I know, again, I'm going to get the naysayers just go, well, Mr. Nash, they're trying to do a job. No, they're half-assing a job. This administration is like I've been saying since they took power, and even before they took power. I told everyone what Joe Biden was going to do. Joe Biden is going to be asleep at the wheel his whole presidency. Yeah, so he's taking us out of Afghanistan. He's taking us out of a lot of things, folks. None of it good. He has no plan. His whole philosophy of this build back better. Now, they ought to rename that to build back poorly. Or build back half-assed. Because that's what it is. It's not like with President Obama, where it was, well, here's the red line. Here's the red line. Don't cross the red line. Oh, you crossed that red line? Well, here's another red line. Now, see, Joe's completely different than his former predecessor. Joe just doesn't use common sense at all. He doesn't use planning. He doesn't use anything. And I mean anything, folks. The man is asleep at the wheel. Rather because of his mental capacity and the medical issues that he's got going on. Or it could just be Joe himself, folks. Heck, I do believe former President Obama even came out here several weeks ago and said that Joe has a tendency to everything that he touches, he basically destroys. And he did the same thing when he was the vice president. So if that doesn't speak words, I don't know what doesn't or what does. That was the headline from Politico. There's been a couple other ones here today that I wanted to share with everyone. Getting into the COVID-19 pandemic. I know everyone's going to say, well, Mr. Nash, why are you talking about that? You said you were going to try to keep away from... Yeah, I'm trying to. Just like I said, I'm going to try to not talk about Dr. Fauci. Unfortunately, these topics are just coming up, and that's what's dominating the news. But I could not pass up this chance to bring you a little bit of follow the science. I just can't help myself, folks. Remember, we got to follow the science. Well, I got some science here for you. So how many of us here the last several weeks, months, year and a half, what have we been hearing, especially the last several months with the Delta variant? Everyone's going to love this topic. I'm sure my wife would probably get a kick out of this one. So this comes from an article. It was an AP poll that was taken June the 18th of 2021 this year by Cheryl Askison. This was a poll that was taken. I'm going to read this a little bit just so everyone can hear this. So it says, over 700 physicians responding to an internet survey by the Association of the American Physicians and Surgeons, the AAPS, nearly 60% said they were not fully vaccinated or would not get vaccinated. I'm going to repeat this again. Of 700 physicians responding to an internet survey by the Association of American Physicians and Surgeons, the AAPS, nearly 60% said they were not fully vaccinated or would not get vaccinated for the COVID-19 vaccination. This contrasts with the claim by the American Medical Association that stated 96% of practicing physicians are fully vaccinated. This was based on a 300% respondents. Neither survey represents a random sample of all American physicians, but the AAPS survey shows that physicians' support for the mass injection campaign is thus far ununanimous. So what does that say, folks? We have been hearing for the last several months, what have we been hearing? It's those damn Republicans. Every one of them not wanting to push a mask mandate. Every one of them against the COVID vaccination. And this is why COVID's running rampant. This is why the Delta variant's running rampant. This is why everyone's dying. Then it went from Republicans to conservatives. It's you damn conservatives. You conservatives are the problem. You're not getting vaccinated. Then it jumped from conservatives to elderly people. Elderly people were the problem because elderly people just don't want to go out and get vaccinated. They're just scared, and when they get around people, they're just giving the COVID. They're giving the gift that keeps on giving. They're giving the COVID. And then it was flipped again by Dr. Fauci and other people in the Democratic Party, or leading experts with follow the science. Then it turned into, well, it's really because of all the people that aren't vaccinated in the U.S. All you people that are just against the vaccine. Even now that Pfizer and Moderna and Johnson & Johnson and you know they're getting FDA approved, and you people are still fighting getting vaccinated. It's all you unvaccinated people's faults. And yet here we go. After all of this, the report comes out and pulls, just not one, but two, that doctors, physicians, and surgeons are rather not fully vaccinated, or they say they will not get vaccinated. So what happens now to follow the science? I mean, all these people that they keep claiming, your doctors, they're pushing for you to get the COVID vaccination. You better get it. Listen to your doctor. And yet, doctors aren't getting vaccinated. I could read on in this article here because there are people that have made comments on here. Like there's one person on here in this article that said it was wrong to call a person who declines a shot an anti-vaxxer, states an AAPS executive director, Janet Orient, MD. Here's another one. Virtually no physicians are anti-antibiotics or anti-surgery, whereas all are opposed to treatments that they think are unnecessary, more likely to harm than to benefit an individual patient or inadequately tested. Folks, this is comments by doctors, surgeons, physicians in the medical field all over the United States. I'm reading this to you. I gave you the website here. It's CherylLedekins.com. You can read this report. It was an AP report. It was an AP poll. This was done and conducted not just by the AP, but again, the AAPS and the American Medical Association, folks. I'm reading this from them. It's on their website as well. This was dated June 18th of 2021. So there you have it, folks. Everyone wants to blame Republicans, conservatives, the unvaccinated. And you've got your own people saying, well, you better follow the science. And all of these physicians are saying, we're not getting that. Or they won't go fully vaccinated. I read a report here the other day, and I want everyone to read to this. This was another AP report talking about blood samples that doctors are taking from people in the United States and from around the world, especially in Israel, where that country is almost completely vaccinated. And the vaccinations are failing. And as they go through and start looking at people's blood samples that have taken the COVID-19 vaccination, they're finding that there's a thickening in the blood. And I know what people is going to scream. Well, what is that really going to do, Mr. Nash? That doesn't do anything. It's just your blood's thicker. Well, again, folks, this was rolled out. And yeah, I know, Pfizer was just FDA approved. But again, I want to ask everybody this. When a new medical vaccine or a medicine comes out, how long does it actually take, honestly, before standard regulations say, after so many years in testing and clinical trials, and we see and can observe what happens to the human body, over time, they see these results, and they can see where it's going. It takes years and years and years before something is actually approved and said, yeah, it's safe, or yes, it's not. The COVID-19 vaccination has only been out for maybe a little over a year. We already now have one of them FDA approved, which was Pfizer. And now they're already saying that, well, after every 6 to 8 months, you're going to have another shot. Folks, that tells me that there's some underlying issues going on. The whole issue now that they're finding with blood thickening. I don't know about anybody else. I'm not a doctor, but thickening of the blood, doesn't that cause problems? Doesn't thickening of the blood, can't that cause extreme issues with organ failure? Or other diseases? I'm not a doctor, folks. I'm not going to sit here and say I know everything. I don't. I'm not a practicing physician. I'm reading to you what I'm reading. And now you have physicians and surgeons coming out. I just read it to everyone, and they're saying, yeah, we're not touching this. I'm not injecting that with my body. I might feed you this line of crap. Yeah, you should probably go get the COVID-19, vaccination. And then they're not taking it. We're following the science, right, here, folks? That's what we're supposed to do, right? Follow the science. Sounds like to me the people at the top aren't following anything. And now I'm reading that our physicians aren't following this. Then why the hell should the American public follow this? You want to talk about a lie or mislead. I don't know what's a bigger mislead there. Just reading that article. I want everybody who thinks that I'm making this up, please go through, read the article for yourself. Again, you can go back through and look at the AAPS, or you can go through and look at it on the American Medical Association's website as well. It's posted. Please do. I want people to read up on this. Last but not least, in today's show, again, I just want to get back to what I got started with at the beginning of the podcast. I just want to reiterate. We have a hurricane. It's between a Category 4 and a Category 5. It's Hurricane Ida. If you're in the vicinity in the New Orleans, please, folks, get out, take shelter. Don't wait this storm out. Your life is much more precious than just sitting there and letting something bad happen, and then you're stuck in a situation you don't want to be in. So please, everyone that's out there, everyone that's getting affected with the storm, please be safe. Think smart, think rationally, please. And again, I'm going to close out with my segment here tonight. I really do. This has bothered me all week, folks. It really has. All the families that lost those heroes in Afghanistan from the suicide bombing, all of the heroes, men and women who have served in Afghanistan or anywhere overseas, and you've lost, families that have lost their loved ones. My heart goes out to every one of you. It really does. There's nothing that I can say to bring those individuals back. It is a tragedy. It really is. But all I can say is hold on to the memories of those loved ones that are gone, because they are not gone and they will not be forgotten. They were true heroes, and they will always be heroes. And that's my closing point for tonight. So this has been another great episode of Political Theater with me, your host, Charles Nash. I want to thank everybody for watching. If you're listening to me on iHeartRadio or Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever, Facebook, YouTube, I thank you. Continue to please leave messages. If you want to talk about something, leave us a message. I mean, it doesn't have to be political in nature. It can be about anything. Well, I always try to respond to everybody as much as possible. So, again, I wish everyone a safe Sunday going into the new week. And good night, folks.